Imagine waking up one morning, not to the sound of your alarm, but to a piercing emergency alert on your phone. It's not a weather warning. It's the message we've all secretly dreaded: national emergency. Hostilities have commenced. This is not a drill. What would that first day of World War III actually look like for an ordinary American? This isn't about Hollywood explosions or dramatic battle scenes. This is about what you and I would experience right here at home. The first thing you'd notice is the information blackout. Your internet connection would flicker and die. Cell service would become unreliable, then non-existent. The government, using emergency powers, would likely shut down public networks to prevent enemy cyberattacks and the spread of misinformation. Forget scrolling through social media for updates. Your only source of news would be the emergency alert system cutting into TV and radio broadcasts, delivering terse, government-approved messages. The world would suddenly feel very small and very quiet. You'd rush to the window. Outside, the scene would be one of surreal normalcy, but with an undercurrent of panic. You might see neighbors talking in hushed, anxious groups on their lawns. Cars would start lining up at gas stations, the queues stretching for blocks. You'd think about going to the supermarket, but a quick look at the traffic would tell you it's already too late. Store shelves would be stripped bare within hours. The things we take for granted, bread, milk, bottled water, would become priceless commodities. The era of convenience would be over, just like that. At work, or what's left of it, things would be chaotic. The stock market would be frozen, its screens a sea of red, before trading is halted indefinitely to prevent a total economic collapse. Your 401k, your savings, their value would become a giant question mark. Non-essential businesses would be ordered to close. If you're not a first responder, a utility worker, or in a critical industry like food production or defense manufacturing, you'd be sent home. Your job, your daily routine, would simply cease to exist. The government would likely implement a universal basic income or ration stamps almost immediately to prevent mass starvation and civil unrest. As the day progresses, the military presence would become impossible to ignore. Convoys of National Guard trucks would rumble down highways, securing key infrastructure like power plants, bridges, and hospitals. You might hear the roar of fighter jets patrolling the skies. In coastal cities or near military bases, the tension would be even higher. The familiar sights and sounds of your hometown would be replaced by the machinery of war. This wouldn't be a distant conflict on a news channel. It would be in your backyard. A national draft would be announced. It wouldn't be like the old paper lottery. In our digital age, the selective service system has the data. Notices would be sent out digitally and by mail, calling up men and women, likely between the ages of 18 and 35, to report for duty. Suddenly, families would be facing the terrifying prospect of sending their sons, daughters, brothers, and sisters off to fight. It would be a heartbreaking, deeply personal reality check for millions. Your daily life would be governed by new rules. A national curfew would be imposed. Travel would be heavily restricted, with checkpoints on major roads. Your constitutional rights would be temporarily curtailed in the name of national security. Law enforcement, bolstered by the military, would have expanded powers to detain suspicious individuals and quell any dissent. The freedom of movement you've always known would be gone. As evening falls, the psychological toll would truly set in. The uncertainty would be the worst part. You'd be cut off from loved ones in other cities, even other neighborhoods. Is everyone okay? What's happening on the front lines? The silence from the outside world would be deafening. You'd gather with your family or roommates, huddled around a battery-powered radio, listening to the official broadcasts, trying to piece together the terrifying new reality. The power grid would become a primary concern. Rolling blackouts would be implemented to conserve energy and to make the grid a less predictable target. Imagine your city plunging into darkness, not for an hour, but for days at a time. Without electricity, there's no refrigeration, no modern heating or cooling, no way to charge your devices if you could even find a signal. Life would regress to a pre-industrial state with shocking speed. The supply chain, already fragile, would completely shatter. It wouldn't just be food. Think about medicine. People with chronic conditions like diabetes or heart disease would face a life or death crisis. Pharmacies would be overrun, their stocks depleted. Hospitals would be triage centers, prioritizing military casualties and critical emergency cases. Routine medical care would be a luxury we could no longer afford. And then there's the cyber front. It's not just the internet. Enemy hackers would target everything: the banking system, traffic control, water treatment facilities, the power grid itself. You might try an ATM, only to find it offline. Your digital money could become inaccessible, or worse, worthless. This is a key part of modern warfare, paralyzing the enemy's society from within, without firing a single shot. The chaos would be manufactured, designed to break our spirit. In this new world, community would be everything. We'd see the best and worst of humanity. Some people would hoard resources, acting out of fear and self-interest. But many more would come together. Neighbors who barely knew each other would form watch groups, pool their food and supplies, and share skills. A retired mechanic would fix a generator. A nurse would set up a makeshift clinic in their living room. A gardener would share their harvest. These small acts of cooperation would be the threads that hold society together. As the first day of this hypothetical war ends, you'd look out into the darkened, quiet streets, and the world would feel fundamentally changed. The illusion of safety and predictability would be gone, replaced by a raw, uncertain future. It's a sobering thought, but it highlights just how precious the peace and stability we often take for granted really are. This isn't meant to be a scare tactic, but a reminder. A reminder to appreciate the complex, interconnected world that keeps our lives running smoothly every single day. The greatest defense we have is not just military might, but a resilient, united, and prepared society. Thanks for watching. If this got you thinking, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay safe out there.